This workshop is for if you have not passed physical and chemical changes during digestion. You're going to take some notes. So for this, you're going to need a sheet of paper, doesn't matter what type, pencil or pen, and two different color highlighters or colored pencils, just so that you can distinguish between physical and chemical changes as we take these. So go ahead and press pause and go and get those. Okay, so once you have your materials, you are going to turn it long ways. Okay. And we're going to draw a T-chart on here. So me personally, because I just like straight lines, I'm going to use a ruler or a straight edge. If you would like to do that, you can go ahead and grab a ruler or the side of your notebook or something, or you can just draw it, because this is just meant to be some quick notes. Okay. So this is physical and chemical changes during digestion. So the first thing we're going to write on this side is physical. And on this side, we're going to write chemical. Okay. Now, when we're looking at physical and chemical changes during digestion, we're going to look at the different changes that occur at different stages. So we're looking at what happens at each part of your body. So your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestines, and your large intestines, and what's happening both physically and chemically there. Okay. So we're going to start with the physical side, and we're going to see what's happening inside your mouth. Okay. So in your mouth, the physical changes that are happening is that you're tearing your food into pieces. And this specifically is you chewing. Okay. Now, on the chemical side in your mouth, you have saliva that is breaking down carbohydrates. So already your body is starting to chemically change the food in your mouth. So physical, tearing food, chemical, breaking down into carbs. Okay. The next thing is in our esophagus. Okay. Now, in your esophagus, you are moving the food, and this is called peristalsis, which is a fun word. Okay. And this is when the muscles are moving your food down to the stomach. Okay. So peristalsis, it's like a wave-like motion that's happening with your muscles. What you just need to know is that the food is simply moving, but not changing. It's just changing its location. So muscles move food down to stomach. Now, during this time, there isn't a chemical change happening in the esophagus. Okay, so we're just going to leave that side blank for now. Our next step is from the esophagus, it moves down to the stomach. And in the stomach, a couple things happen. First off, the food is mixing. Seems about right, right? The food mixes, and it's also being known as churning. Okay, it's spinning it around. And what it does is it forms chyme, okay, or food mush. And it makes it easier for it to pass through your intestines. I like food mush. Now, on the other side, your stomach is also changing that food chemically. Okay, so during this time, there's acids in your stomach that are breaking down protein. Okay. Now, the next thing is we have these small intestines. Now, in the small intestines, again, we have peristalsis, and that's moving the food. And again, that's your muscles moving the food. Okay? However, on the chemical side, there's a lot going on. In fact, this is where most of chemical digestion takes place, is in the small intestines. So here we have fats, proteins, and carbohydrates are going to be broken down. Now, let me go ahead and kind of clarify this. So we're breaking down these molecules. So there's bonds that hold these fats, proteins, and carbs together. What happens in your small intestines is that they break down or they break the bonds and become different molecules. So we're going to add that word. Different molecules. Okay? They are chemically different now. So I know you might think of like, okay, breaking down was kind of like the mouth, like tearing into food into pieces, but that's not the same here. Chemically, that food was still the same. It's just in smaller pieces. Now you've broke it down into different molecules, and now it's chemically different, that making it a chemical change. Our last organ that we have to go through is the large intestines. Okay? Now, in this case, from the physical side, water is being absorbed back into the body. So we're just taking out the water, but it's not changing that chemical. Okay? In the large intestines, bacteria, bacteria is breaking down material. Okay? So we kind of have that, kind of to go back over it. We have physical changes. Okay? This, in our mouth, we have tearing. Okay? In the esophagus, we have peristalsis, where we simply move food. In the stomach, we have the food mixing or churning, and it turns into that food mush. In the small intestines, we again have peristalsis. In the large intestines, the water is absorbed. And all of those are physical components. On the chemical side, and this is where we're using those highlighters to kind of highlight the differences. In the mouth, we have saliva. In the stomach, we have acids. In the small intestines, we have breakdown into smaller, different molecules. And then in the large intestines, we have bacteria breaking down the material again. Okay, so just in case you didn't get my writing and you weren't necessarily following along with me, I'm going to sum all this up. So, we are dealing with physical and chemical changes in digestion, and we are looking at them from each place of where they are in the body, from the physical side and then the chemical side. On the physical side, we have tearing into pieces or chewing. We have it in the esophagus, where we have the peristalsis, where the muscles are moving the food down to the stomach. We have the stomach, the food mixes, there's churning and it forces that chime, which is that food mush. We have the small intestines, where peristalsis again moves the food. And then in the large intestines, the water is absorbed back into the body. On the chemical side, in the mouth, we have saliva that breaks down the carbs. In the esophagus, we really don't have a lot. In the stomach, we have acid that's breaking down proteins. And in the small intestines, we have fats, proteins, and carbohydrates breaking down into smaller, different molecules. And in the large intestines, we have bacteria breaking down materials even further. Now, if you did not get all this at the same time as me and you need to kind of catch up, this would be a good time for you to pause this video and go ahead and write down the notes that you didn't catch and highlight where you need to highlight. I hope this helps. Once you're done, you should go ahead and request that assessment. Thanks.